guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to be spilling some tea. I'm going to be talking about how much money I make in Canada. So if you are interested in this type of video, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you guys some insightful information. I hope it's insightful. I'm going to be spilling the tea. I'm going to be chatting my business. I'm going to be putting my salary out there. However, I'm not going to be telling you guys my current salary. What I will be telling you guys is what I made when I just came to Canada in my first 2 jobs. So I want this video to be super helpful because as persons that are looking to come to Canada, you know, you're putting in a huge investment, right? And you want to know if there's going to be a return on that investment. Is it worth it? Am I going to be able to make enough money? Like, what's the salary looking like? Like, how much do you actually get paid? Like, what are the taxes? Like, what am I taking home? And how much money am I going to have left over to save or to live life or whatever it is that you want to do? Those are some of the burning questions that I had, and I never really found any videos out there that sort of where persons were open and honest enough to say, hey, this is the amount of money I was making. And granted, I don't expect persons to, you know, tell me like, no, okay, obviously this is how much I'm making. No, I'm not doing that. I don't intend to do that. But I feel like I've stopped working at these places long enough now for me to say, okay, when I just came, this is how much I was making. So it gives you an idea of sort of what to expect when you are, you know, just coming as a newcomer. I'm going to give you sort of like my background, educational background and working background a little bit, so that will, you know, give you guys a little bit more of an insight. So I'm going to get into it. First things first, I'm going to give just sort of like a background on me in terms of like my education and my sort of professional background. So for me, I did my bachelor's in marine biology. I did a minor in psychology. I worked, I want to say, for almost 5 years in general insurance back home, up to the supervisory level. So that's my pre-Canada experience and education. So a science education background, got into insurance, and then when I came to Canada, as you guys know, for ones that have been following me for a while, I did my postgraduate diploma in business management, and yeah, that's basically it in terms of like education. And so I want to talk about sort of like the first 2 jobs that I was able to get and how much they paid when I got here. So I have 2 of like my pay slips. I'll kind of try to annotate so that you guys are able to see the numbers better. I'm not going to put the pay slip on the screen for privacy reasons. So I'm going to talk about the first job that I got, right? So the first position that I received, it was an administrative position, but it was called a lien specialist. So because I worked in insurance, I was able to get a job sort of like within or parallel to insurance. It wasn't insurance, but I was able to use my experience to get a job in an area that dealt with like automotive and stuff like that, and the position was called a lien specialist. So my duties really were, you know, very administrative, to be honest. A lot of Excel using, like phone call making kind of stuff, just like a lot of administrative duties, not, you know, anything too crazy. So just to give you an idea, it does help to have some amount of experience within the automotive industry, and I feel like maybe that's why I had gotten the job. But it wasn't a difficult job, nothing specialized really, even though it's called lien specialist. But anyway, so on my offer letter that I received, it says that the position was paying 50,000 Canadian dollars annually. So yeah, that's what I was offered, 50K. Now I want to show you guys essentially what that kind of boils down to when you break it down. So I was paid, most companies here pay on a bi-weekly or bi-monthly basis. for these two jobs I was paid bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. So my salary was $1,509.44 bi-weekly. So that total after taxes were deducted, my take home would be, well, rather my take home was $1,509.44, right? That's what I took home. The taxes were $413.64. So that's what was deducted bi-weekly from my salary. So in total, on a monthly basis, I was getting $2,191.06 net. So that just gives you an idea of what $50,000 gets you. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you take out the taxes, it's a lot. So in terms of taxes, well, the taxes that we pay for the most part, that most persons pay, are federal income tax. I paid $285.79 for that. Employment insurance, $30.38, and employment insurance is basically this tax that you pay that if, for example, you are laid off or fired from your job for no reason of your own, not fired, but if you lose your job but not because of something that you did, then you're able to file for employment insurance, and they will pay you essentially half of what you're making at that job until you're able to find another job. So that's basically what you're paying into when you pay for employment insurance. And then there's a CPP government pension. That's some kind of pension. I'm not really too sure the details of it, but I was paying $997.47 for employment insurance. So in total, the taxes were $413.64 on a bi-weekly basis. So it is a decent amount of taxes. So yeah, that's basically it. And then I started another job. This job was actually a US company. I think I was probably one of the only persons in Canada, but they paid me in Canadian dollars. So for this job, it was kind of more aligned with insurance for me, closely aligned, but it was just not automotive insurance. So it was a little bit more specialized in terms of what I was used to, and a little bit more technical in terms of like the experience that is required and stuff like that. And of course, I was able to leverage the experience that I had back home and kind of just like, you know, put myself forward and get the position. And this particular position paid $60,000 annually, so a $10,000 increase from the previous job. And I want to pause here and make a note that when it comes down to like getting an increase in salary here, one of the main ways that persons do, and I feel like back home as well or anywhere, one of the main ways that you get a big jump or you're going to, if you want a significant increase in your salary, is by moving. And there is sort of like a stigma surrounding jumping from job to job and changing jobs, I felt like back home. But here people move jobs frequently, especially now these Gen Zers and millennials like myself. Like, we're not staying in one job too long anymore. We're looking for the next best opportunity, whether it be in terms of benefits or salary or ability to work remote and stuff like that. So depending on what you're looking for, if salary is something that, like, you know, you start a job and you want to get a significant increase, then leave the company that you're at and job search. Don't think that, oh, like, it's going to look bad because I was just at this company for XYZ amount of time and you know, it's just not going to look good on my resume and nobody's going to hire me. That's not true. Only if you're probably staying at the places like 2 months or 3 months and like the positions don't make any sense, like that's a red flag. But you should always try to explore different opportunities, especially if it's a salary bump you're looking for. So yeah, that's my little piece on that. So back into the other company, so it was $60,000 annually. I was getting $1,745.57 on a bi-weekly basis, net paid. So that's after like taxes were deducted. So let's just go back and look at the other job. The net pay, or rather, yeah, the net pay for the bi-weekly, for net pay on a bi-weekly basis for the first job was $1,509.44, and the net pay for the second job was $1,745.57. So you can see there a 10K increase really only gives you about 200 and little bit in terms of like what you actually take home. And you would think it would be more. It's not. And I think that that's really the main issue here that a lot of persons have here, is like you're heavily taxed. It's a lot of taxes, and I get it. Like the taxes go into like the free healthcare that we get, which is top tier ish. that's debatable. And you know, just that the place looks amazing in terms of like it being the upkeep, the roads, like sanitation, like all of those things. It goes back into that which like I'm okay with. It's a higher standard of living. But baby, like why y'all gotta tax us so much? It's so much. Taxes for the second job, I was paying $534.47 on a bi-weekly basis for taxes, and the previous job it was $413. So it's really just to show you that yeah, the ability is there to make money when you come. Even though I'm ranting about oh the taxes are high, it's still a decent amount of money, especially if you keep your expenses low. You can save money, you can feel at ease somewhat knowing that your first or maybe your second job here you'll be able to make that money as a newcomer. So I feel like that's the kind of encouragement that I want to give you guys, that you know it's a good investment if you're coming to Canada. And I know that a lot of persons are like you're coming, you're putting in this huge investment, you want to know if it's going to work out, does it make sense, like am I going to regret it? I feel like it is a good investment. Obviously you have to work hard just like anywhere else, you can't just come and cruise, right? But if you do put in the work, and obviously like this is not like the biggest amount of money, but it's a start if you're coming from, if you were to compare sort of like the kind of salary that you would get in Jamaica. I feel like if you compare for the same positions, you wouldn't be making $5 million for an admin position in Jamaica. That's just not, that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? You're not making that. That's basically all I wanted to basically talk to you guys about, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.